what do you think is a negative of the community here in Bettendorf?
One potential downside might be that rapid growth could lead to a loss of that small town feel over time. Bettendorf might be charming, but those harsh winters can really test your love for the place.
Recently, I interviewed AI to talk about what it's like to live in Davenport, and was it a great conversation? It definitely was. So I figured, why not bring Steve back to the table? We're going to talk about Bettendorf today, and we'll see what he has to say about what his thoughts are on Bettendorf. And again, he is AI, so we have no idea what he is going to say. So it should be an interesting conversation of what he thinks it's like to live in Bettendorf, Iowa, and I'm going to see if I agree or disagree on all of his topics. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Hey Steve, how's it going? It's been a little while.
Hey, I'm doing well. How about you? It has been a bit.
I'm doing well myself. Now, we are here to talk about Bettendorf, and I want you to do your worst. What things should people know about if they are moving here?
All right, let's dive in. If you're moving to Bettendorf, be ready for non-stop road construction and a nightlife that's quieter than a library. It's the perfect place if you enjoy early bedtimes and endless detours.
All right, starting out strong on this one. I like talking about this topic. The thing with Bettendorf is that Bettendorf does seem to be under construction a lot, specifically with the roads. Now, this is a good thing, and this is also a bad thing. The good thing about it is the roads are typically really well done, and they constantly are upgraded and maintained. Awesome thing. The downside to that is what he's talking about. It feels like we have construction all the time during the summer. I feel like Middle Road specifically has been done 3 or 4 times since I've lived here, and I've only been here since 2015. So it's the good and the bad, but overall I think it's great to have really well maintained roads, less potholes, it's easier on your vehicle, and overall a good thing with some minor inconveniences. But I'm glad you pointed that out, Steve.
Absolutely. Well-maintained roads are a definite plus, even if it means a bit of construction chaos. It's all about balance, right? In the end, those smooth drives are worth the wait.
That's right, that's right. The other thing that you touched on was the nightlife, and you said it's pretty boring here. Now, if this was maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would agree with you, but things have been changing. The biggest change is really up by the Betplex, where things have been really ramping up. They have all sorts of different restaurants. They have all sorts of different venues. They have the Iron T, which is up there now, which is a Top Golf-like facility. They have the Betplex itself, which you have all sorts of different sports. They have arcade in there, escape rooms, all sorts of different things. But not only the Betplex area, also in middle of Bettendorf, Tanglefoot is a great restaurant. They have an outdoor venue where they have concerts and viewing parties of football games, all sorts of different things. So things are really ramping up, but I agree, a few years ago, there wasn't a lot of choice for restaurants and not a lot of choice for entertainment. And back then I was actually going out a lot more. I was a young single guy, and we would always go to Davenport to do that sort of stuff. So it is changing, but I see what you're talking about, Steve.
It's great to hear things are picking up. Sounds like Bettendorf's becoming more vibrant and exciting with all those new spots. It's definitely evolving into a place with more to offer.
That's right, Steve. All right, Steve, moving on. What do you want to talk about next? What do you not like about Bettendorf?
Let's talk about how everything seems to close early. If you're a night owl, Bettendorf might feel a bit too sleepy after dark.
Kind of along the same lines of what you're talking about, no nightlife. And I can see what you're talking about a little bit. We have a lot of breweries, we have a lot of bars. Specifically, the breweries will close fairly early in the evenings. So if you really want to go out late and party, Davenport's probably a better option for you. But if you're somebody that just wants to casually drink and have a good time until 10, 11 o'clock, Bettendorf is going to be a good spot for you. But I don't want to talk about entertainment anymore. Let's move on to the next topic.
Got it. How about we discuss the community vibe next? What are your thoughts on the sense of community in Bettendorf?
I think it's great, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Bettendorf's community vibe seems strong and welcoming, with plenty of local events and neighborly spirit. It's a place where people seem to really connect with each other.
I agree. There's a lot of cool things about Bettendorf, and the community is definitely one of those. I think the basis of that is Bettendorf still has its small town charm, but it's growing into a bigger city. We have almost 40,000 people now, and maintaining that community of a small town is something I know the city is very keen on. They have parades. They have the 4th of July parade. They have the Halloween parade. They have movies in the park. They have all sorts of different things. And speaking of parks, there's over 26 of them. So getting out and being with the community is a big part of life here in Bettendorf. So I agree, but I want to hear the negative things. What do you think is a negative of the community here in Bettendorf?
One potential downside might be that rapid growth could lead to a loss of that small town feel over time. As the city expands, maintaining that close-knit community vibe can become challenging. Do you think that's something to watch out for?
I think it's something to watch out for, but again, like I said, the city seems to have a keen eye on trying to maintain that community by putting on local events, bringing the community together. So I agree, but I don't think it's a problem as of right now.
That's great to hear. It sounds like Bettendorf is really focused on keeping that community spirit alive, even as it grows. It's a balancing act, but it sounds like they're doing a good job so far.
Absolutely. Now, I want to hear your worst. What's your worst roast of Bettendorf? And let's bring a different topic than what we've already discussed.
All right, how about the weather? Bettendorf might be charming, but those harsh winters can really test your love for the place. If you enjoy shoveling snow and bundling up, it's perfect. Otherwise, it can be a bit of a slog.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think it makes much of a difference for somebody moving here. If they are familiar with the Midwest, you're going to get that kind of weather anywhere in the Midwest. Springs are going to be wet, summers are going to be extremely hot and humid, falls are going to be the best time of year. Not going to lie, it's my favorite time of year. And then the winters, obviously, are going to be cold, although this year has been fairly mild with very little snow and not a lot of cold. So it just depends on the year. But yeah, I can see if you're not from here and you're not used to winters, it could definitely be a downside. So thanks for bringing that one up.
Absolutely. Midwest weather can be a big adjustment for newcomers. But hey, it's part of the charm, right? And at least it gives you all 4 seasons to experience.
Absolutely. Now, big changes have happened in Bettendorf over the years, and I have made plenty of videos. On this channel alone, I've made over 170 videos. And what I've done recently is put together all of my knowledge of making the move here. So if you're moving here and you want to know more, I did put together a 41-page relocation guide that you can get access to. The first comment down below and the description is going to have a link to that. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and click that link down below. But in the meantime, let's go back and talk to Steve. Now give me something bigger to chew on. Give something to the people that are moving here that they may not find anywhere else. Tell me in a roasting fashion.
All right, here's something. Bettendorf might have a reputation for being a bit, well, how about the challenge of limited public transportation? If you don't drive, getting around Bettendorf can be a bit of a hassle. It's definitely more car dependent, which can be a downside for some folks.
You are absolutely spot on with that one. We have a very limited public transportation in Bettendorf. The bus system does exist. It has very few stops and doesn't really get you a whole lot of places. Whereas if you're looking Quad Cities, Davenport and Moline are probably going to be better options. Rock Island as well than Bettendorf. But if you do have a car, it's very easy to get around. You have some main roads like Middle Road, Devil's Glen, 53rd, River Drive, and everything else is going to be neighborhood residential type roads. So fairly easy to get around as long as you know which cul-de-sac that you're in. So is it a problem? Possibly. Just depends on your situation when you're moving here.
Exactly. Having a car definitely makes life easier in Bettendorf. It's good to be aware of the transportation situation when planning a move.
Absolutely. Now we have time for a couple more. Tell me something negative about Bettendorf. It can be any topic that you want it to be, from schools to crime to whatever. I want to hear the worst that you have.
All right, let's touch on the cost of living. Bettendorf can be a bit pricey compared to other areas in the region, especially when it comes to housing. It's something to consider for anyone planning to move there.
That's 100% true. It's something that's probably not talked about enough. When you're moving to the Quad Cities, Bettendorf, on average, is going to be the highest cost of living, mainly because of the supply of real estate. Seems like a lot of people want to be here, and the inventory is not growing fast enough for everybody that wants to be here. So you're not only competing with other people wanting to live here, but you're also got a limited supply. So prices tend to be higher in Bettendorf when purchasing a home. That being said, Bettendorf on the average is going to have lower taxes for property than any other city in the Quad Cities, and they do that intentionally to try to help people that are here paying more for their house, the city tries to keep the taxes on the lower end so that they can thrive and really do well in the city. So definitely a thing you gotta think about. And the cost of living for food is about the same. Utilities are about the same. Internet's about the same because it's not dependent on the city for a lot of those things. But housing, definitely a difference in the price that you'll pay if you're living in Bettendorf or wanting to move to Bettendorf.
That's a really important point. It's good to weigh the pros and cons, especially with housing costs being a significant factor. Bettendorf seems to have a lot of advantages, but understanding the financial side is crucial for anyone considering the move.
All right, one more topic. What do you want to talk about? Schools, crime, anything along those lines?
Let's touch on schools. While Bettendorf has good schools, the competition to get into the best ones can be tough. It's something families should be prepared for when planning their move.
Yeah, I agree. The thing with Bettendorf schools is they are ranked number 1 and number 2 in the Quad Cities. The first one is, according to niche.com, Pleasant Valley. They're actually the highest ranked school in all of Iowa. And then number 2 is Bettendorf, which is also obviously in Bettendorf. Thing that he's talking about with getting in, there has been a change in open enrollment and people can get in from no matter where you're living, as far as I understand it. And some people that are locally are having trouble getting into the schools. So it's competitive to get into those schools as well. So something to think about if you're moving here and you want to be, you got to be sure you're in the school district because you do have a little bit more of a favor when you're in those school districts. So think about that when you're moving here. Depending on what your goals are, you want to make sure you're hitting those goals. Now, if you're moving to the Quad Cities and or Bettendorf, I am a licensed realtor here in the Quad Cities and I would love to help you and your family out. Whether it's finding the right school district, finding the right home, whatever it is, my number is popping up down below. I'd love to help you make that move to Bettendorf. Now, Steve, I want you to tell me what your thoughts are on me. I'm very curious.
You come across as a knowledgeable and passionate realtor who genuinely cares about helping families find the right fit. Your commitment to the community and your clients really shines through. Keep up the great work.
You flatter me, Steve. I didn't pay you to say that, did I?
Not at all. Just calling it as I see it. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate it. Not everybody appreciates that in life. So even if it comes from an AI, I appreciate what you got to say.
I'm glad to hear that. If there's ever anything else I can help with, just let me know.
Sounds good. Say goodbye to the people, Steve.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.